Welcome to the Profit Talks podcast, hosted by the Orange County Inland Empire SBDC Network, funded in part by the U.S. Small Business Administration and the California Office of the Small Business Advocate. This show is the go-to resource for business owners seeking empowerment, education, and resources to succeed. Join us as we connect you with experts, share the triumphs of fellow entrepreneurs, and reveal the wealth of assistance available to you today to level up your business. So let's go. Let's dive in and learn more. Boy, we're going to learn a lot more today. Put a heavy emphasis on that resources part of our introduction there, because we're going to introduce you to a resource you may not even know exists, but you probably heard about in the recent COVID chaos that consumed us all for the last couple of years as the government was put in place special programs like PPP, the Payment Protection Program, and went to outside groups like our guest today here to help disseminate those funds and distribute those funds, and how they continue to do that as a direct small business lender for small businesses who might not otherwise be able to qualify for traditional bank loans. Fascinating topic. Had no idea this company even existed, and we're going to learn all about them from their vice president of relationships, business relationships? How would I describe it here?
Relationship manager. He's
a relationship manager. It's his job to find relationships with, like our hosts, the small business development centers, and other groups. They ran on one of our other shows with the Hispanic Chamber of Commerce. They find these groups. He finds these groups, and then he's the go-between their clients, their customers, their community, and the resources that his company, LENDISTRY, LENDISTRY, like dentistry, but LENDISTRY. You're all about lending, right?
All about lending in the industry, so LENDISTRY.
All right, and your name is Uriel. I was trying to avoid saying because I'm going to butcher it, I'm afraid, but I'm going to try. Uriel Arguelles? Arguelles. Oh, see, I was so close.
There you go.
Uriel Arguelles. All right. Well, I appreciate you coming in here. I'm sorry for botching your name a little bit here, but hopefully I won't botch the information you're going to present here because it's fascinating. So let's give a little history. I guess LENDISTRY's been around for a while, but not maybe you don't see them on buses and billboards like Bank of America or Wells Fargo or something here. And you're in all 50 states or most of the states across the country here. And locally in California, you have 3 offices, one in the north, one up in L.A. where you're principally based, and an office right here in Tustin in Orange County. I'm pleased to know Orange County made the cut here.
Yep. That's correct. And thanks, Paul, for having me here today. And I'm happy to represent LENDISTRY and happy to be here in your program. So thank you for that. And yes, LENDISTRY has been around for a few years now. Started in 2015, but really didn't get to where we're at now until around 2020-21 or so.
Well, because you won the contract to pass out the government's payroll protection program here, where they suddenly had all this money they wanted to get to help support people, so you wouldn't fire your staff during COVID when we sent them home, and you could still give them a paycheck and hold on to these staff. I used to own a restaurant years ago. Boy, there's nothing harder than getting a good staff, a staff that really gets it out and delivers good customer service and quickly and kindly and efficiently. And you don't want to lose those people and suddenly say, sorry, go home for 6 months or 2 years, and then hopefully you're still around when we want to reassemble the team here. That must happen all the time, and that was the beauty of that program. No, it allowed businesses to furlough people, send them home because your business is shut down, but still find a way to keep paying them, right?
Yes, Paul. What a challenging time it was, and it was
unbelievable.
It was a very tough time for businesses all over the U.S. Not only the U.S. but globally. Really, it impacted
unprecedented
businesses, individuals from all industries, all walks of life.
Can we send everybody home and not suddenly go broke?
Yeah.
The whole economy stops as everybody sits home and tries to wait out and figure out this thing ravaging the world.
Yeah, and it was a time where LENDISTRY answered the call. We raised our hand and said, hey, we have the technology to be able to help deploy these funds that are much needed across the U.S., and we started here in California, and that gave us the opportunity to work with small businesses to provide the application they needed at any time that they needed it throughout the day. Wasn't just a 9 to 5 thing.
And let's think about that for a second. Sorry, see, big panic, unprecedented, no plan in place. Suddenly they're rushing through. Well, we got to get some funds into people, not just the PPP, but there were other programs too that they were qualifying for. And the state was California had what, a dream?
California Dream Fund.
Dream Fund. Other programs where they're suddenly saying, all right, the government needs to get money into the hands of these people or they're going to go bankrupt, they're going to go out of business, they're not going to be able to pay the rents and all the other stuff. So massive thing. Now the government doesn't move quickly. They don't have any offices to do this. They don't have people hired. They don't have rented offices. They don't even have a process or the paperwork or the forms or the
infrastructure.
The infrastructure, that whole needed internet setup of forms and how do you process stuff and everything. That's a huge undertaking. You guys did. Why did you guys exist? Why did you see what we didn't see, or were you doing other things? You're doing some other direct lending things here. I mean, you were like the right business at the right time.
It's the need, and LENDISTRY was created from the need of access to capital, the need to be able to provide capital to small businesses fast,
right,
and also in underserved communities where they need it the most,
right.
Now,
and often can't get it, or can't figure out how to get it, or we can't figure out how to get it to them. So all this conundrum, this question, this confusion of how to do this. All right, so, and you, is it fair to say that you were what they call a fintech company, which means you're high on tech? You figured out this stuff without brick and mortar locations here? You're doing this all online?
That's correct. That's correct, Paul. Fintech, financial technology company, financial technology enabled company to be able to provide small business loans to communities across the nation
that people can't find. And we, the people who want to lend money to them and support them, don't know how to reach them, and they have no idea how to find, how to qualify. They may not. We're going to talk a great deal about that disconnect here and how you guys stepped into that void as well here. It sounds like that was probably what the company was created for, and then you happen to have this financial technology available and said to the government, well, if you want to pass out money quickly, we know how to do this efficiently, effectively. And you won that contract and did an outstanding job. I never heard anybody complain about it and say, oh, I couldn't get the money, I couldn't figure it out, it's confusing or whatever. No, everybody applauded. I don't think got enough attention for what you're doing here. We should be passing out awards and yelling woo-hoo that there was a company like, because how else would the government have disseminated this money that quickly? They would have had to set up an infrastructure, figure out the technology, the online websites. You know, I remember what happened when we set up, I'm going back a little, I'm digressing here, but when Obamacare kicked in, and the government said, well, we have to set this program up because we're going to run it forever. And how badly they did it, how many times the site crashed, how confusing it was, how chaotic it was here. They don't do this stuff nimbly or quickly. Apparently you guys know how to do it.
Well, I can talk to you about my experience, and that's around the same time that I came across LENDISTRY for the first time was through the pandemic. I've been in finance for about 20 years actually this month.
Okay.
So I've been in finance and banking for 20 years. And
just working for regular banks or institutions?
Yeah, working for larger financial institutions. You name them, probably worked with one of them in some capacity, some leadership capacity, or working with small businesses.
Right. So you know how the big regular banking system works.
Understand how it works. And
the limitations sometimes.
It's challenging to get the funding to folks that need it the most.
Yeah.
Right?
Isn't that the truth? I just want to stop you there for a second because I don't want to. I don't know. I don't want to sound like an old grumpy old guy here, but it seems like in my life, when I needed the money, nobody wanted to lend it to me. When I didn't need the money, everybody wanted to lend it to me. When my credit was challenged, when my business was under attack, oh boy, don't give him any money. But when things are going good and I'm paying on my bills and credit's great, give him more. I don't need it then. I needed it then.
Yes.
And I always said to him, but look at my story. Look at who I am. Don't think of me just as a stat. And you're guessing, is he a good bet or a bad bet here? Go beyond the stats and try and understand my story. Do we have a relationship with the bank? Did I do well by it? Did I do what I said I was going to do? Talk to me as a person and not as a statistic. Now, that falls on deaf ears. Most of the time, big banks, not actuarial tables, whatever, they figure out, they have all these models and they figure it all out. And unless you have all these things perfectly checked off, we're not going to give you the money. And so there's a lot of people who are good businessmen, good people, who are probably a good risk, but they haven't maybe followed all the rules. Maybe they're unbanked. We talk about this all the time. I'm always shocked the number of immigrant groups, not just Hispanics, but Asians. And I didn't trust the bank there. They stole all my money. Well, this is America. I don't care. I'm not putting money in the bank. Or I don't want them knowing about me, or maybe I'm undocumented or illegal or whatever you want to call it. Whatever it is, they're scared, they're uncomfortable, they're unfamiliar, they don't like it, or they go into a bank and nobody speaks their language, or 1,000 reasons that they just live outside the banking system. I'm stunned. I'm flabbergasted.
Yeah. Don't get me wrong, Paul. It's still best to seek capital when you don't need it. It just works best that way, because
to have a credit line,
you got to have a plan. You got to have a plan, and you got to plan to, hey, I'm going to need capital 6, 12 months from now. What do you have to do now to be able to, right now that I have good cash banks,
credit,
lenders,
and all these
good
things.
credit.
Yeah.
Yes. So don't get me wrong. It's always best to be prepared, have
and
a plan.
You're right, but we all wait to the last minute, and then, oops, I didn't save. 1,000 reasons the bank goes, I don't know, you don't have all this stuff here.
Yes.
So along comes companies like yours to fill some of that void, particularly in immigrant communities, communities where for language reasons, for cultural reasons, for...
I would call it underserved, but the word underserved I think it's evolved.
Underserved, not undeserved, but
underserved. That's
underserved,
correct. Underserved.
Right.
Yes.
Because they do deserve it, but nobody goes after them because I don't understand this market. I don't know how to reach this market. I'm not sure I trust this market. Yeah.
Yeah, and it's become more of a segment or a sector, not just separated by race or community. It's more than that, because it's very difficult now that there's been a lot of consolidation amongst banks, amongst large institutions. Reach that you used to have by a small community bank is no longer accessible.
Isn't that the truth? And in the old days, you went and I knew my banker, he knew me, he or she knew me. Sometimes even rather than let this check bounce, I held it because I know you're good and I know you call. I'll take a risk on you. B of A, I'm sorry, I'm not going to pick on B of A, but any big bank, sorry, you're out. Well, didn't you give me a chance to clear that or check that or do something? No, you're done. I'm just a number. And yes, I guess that works on scale, but that doesn't work in community relationships and for a lot of small businesses.
So LENDISTRY was created to fill that void, void that was left. So now it's like you mentioned, a lot of larger institutions look at black and white. What else can
the gray area,
the story, right?
Yeah, right.
So LENDISTRY has the ability to look at that. We're looking at not just the FICO score. Have you been in business for 6-7 years? No, it's okay. You've been in business for 3 years, but what have you done in the last 3 years? Even though your business is growing so fast, and you may get turned down by another bank, let's take a look at that and see if we can look at projections and consider that.
Let's consider your character. Let's consider your qualifications. Let's consider your history in this business. Let's hear your story before we say no.
Exactly.
We still might say no, but let's hear your story, right? So I'm assuming that your banking requirements are different, or lending requirements are different, rather. You're not a bank.
We're not a bank.
You don't take direct deposits. It's another unique thing. And I guess that's why you can be a little different, because you're not collecting a bunch of mom and pop deposit accounts and then re-lending that money. And then you got to go back to not only your shareholders, but your depositor and say, oops, we lent it to Paul and he blew it. He didn't pay us back here.
Right. That allows us to work well with banks too, because we have really good relationships with multiple financial institutions across the nation where we work together to serve the clients that they can't serve.
Interesting, because they don't want you just to go away mad. Yeah, we can't help you here at the big bank, but maybe we can direct you somewhere else. Why would we do that? Well, one, we can't help you, and two, we want you to go away with a good taste in your mouth to maybe you'll come back later and work with us some more here.
Right. It works the same way with some of the organizations that I work with closely, like the SBDC.
Yeah.
It's just a synergistic relationship that we have with banks where they can't do it they'll reach out to me. Hey, Uriel, I have this client. We want to keep their deposits here with us. Can you help them out on the lending side?
Yeah, right.
So,
right.
And because we don't offer deposit products like checking or savings account, there's no fear from the banks that, they're going to take it away from us, right? They're going to offer a checking account and keep them. So
you're not a brick and mortar location. You're not taking mom and pop regular deposits here. Where do you get your funds from? You distributed funds on behalf of the government, but you were just the middleman for them because you had the technology in place. But your day-to-day business, when there's not a crisis, is as a direct small business lender. I didn't know there are such people out there. And where do you get your funds from?
Yes, CDFIs, Community Development Financial Institutions, which is what LENDISTRY is.
Community development, we all like that idea. Financial institutions. I know you speak in English, but I don't know what any of that means when you put it together. CDFI. What does that do?
Essentially, it's a financial institution that works. There's multiple different types of CDFIs.
Yeah, you're not the only one out there.
Housing market.
Some of them are specified or targeted at something, getting a house or something, right?
We exist to help small businesses that are looking to scale, small businesses that have been around a few years and are having a hard time getting the financing they need to grow.
So they're not a startup per se, but maybe they haven't been around forever.
Correct.
They're probably short term.
Right.
Newer businesses.
2 to 3 years, and also existing businesses. We are able to help them scale and grow where to get them to the next level.
But for some reason they've struggled. They went to the big banks and they got turned down. So I'm assuming that, one, your rates are a little higher because it's a little riskier here, but you're saying not exorbitantly higher. This isn't like going to Bernie the loan shark who says, I'll give you the money you want, but you told me some story of just some client of yours that came in.
No, it's definitely not that type of lender. Just slightly above bank rates, prime plus a few points. But what you see out there is you have a lot of organizations, a lot of lenders that call themselves fintech or MCA lenders as well, merchant cash advance. That unfortunately, I had a client that had a story where they had no other option. They didn't know that government aid was available. They didn't know that SBA loan existed. They didn't know that CDFIs existed. So he ended up, after being turned down by a few banks, he ended up going to a MCA lender and got a short-term loan that equivalated to about 130% interest rate. Yes.
You borrow $10,000, you owe $20,000.
Yeah. So that's important for folks to know, and your listeners, that there are lenders out there that can help your clients, that can help small business owners get quality loans at a good rate, a fair rate.
A fair rate. Not trying to take advantage of your difficulties and hit you with something that, quite frankly, seems predatory to me. I'm sorry. It's like you're never going to pay it back. They make it impossible to pay it back here.
Definitely. It puts
certainly
a lot
difficult
of burden on the business owner. It hinders their cash flow. And
desperate
oftentimes,
loans,
yes, it puts them in a more difficult situation than they were in the first place.
I'm not talking about bridge loans and other things that also have higher rates, but you know you're going to pay back. I'm just going to borrow it for a little while because I know the money's coming in. You're talking about people that need the capital for some reason. What do they need the capital for? To grow, to take advantage of an opportunity, to hold on to something?
Yeah, it could be working capital to be able to cover expenses that come up, be a
unforeseen expenses they didn't save for predict,
Right, or it could be a construction worker that recently got a contract to do a new job with the city of
any place,
Irvine, right?
Yeah.
Irvine, Tustin. And now they're struggling because they don't have the working capital they need to begin that job.
That happens all the time. You win something, and oh my God, I got the job, but I got to go hire some people and get some more equipment. I don't have the money to do that. I already got the work.
Right.
I won the contract. Now, how do I fulfill that contract?
Yeah, and so that's,
I got to go borrow some money.
Right. LENDISTRY has created and come up with some creative ways to fill that need by leveraging a contractor program, right? So we have a contractor financing program that's available to help provide capital up front.
Interesting.
Can help provide up to 30% of that contract.
And are these funds, programs, whatever? Again, I still don't know where you get your money from. Are your investors giving you money and doing it, or is this other sorts of government guarantees and funds and stuff here?
It's interesting. It comes from multiple places. Oftentimes, it comes from other banks. Right, so larger banks that typically can't.
We wish we could loan to these people. That's just that our stockholders won't accept that. Yeah. But we think there's some business here, and we think that you've got a good way to handle and predict that business without high failure rates and losing all our money. So we'll invest with you. We'll give you some money.
And we have states also that do through SSBCI. They'll do some participation, or they'll provide guarantees. There's private companies that are also investing, and so it comes from a very
so these are smart people who see an opportunity here, but they don't either understand how to operate in the space or can't because they're too big and too regulated and too many people they got to answer to. But they say, but this isn't a bad idea, and if you run it right, you can make money doing this because you're a for-profit enterprise. You're trying to make money.
Yep. Yep.
This isn't just a feel-good project. Let's go out some money. None of it came back. Let's go find some more to give out here. No, you're really trying to come up with a predictable way to serve small businesses that that are underserved, that for some reason can't qualify, can't find, can't get, and it's you or something worse, something bad that's not going to work for them here. All right, I like the idea. I see the need for the space. Give me some idea. Give me some numbers. How much you passing out? What are you doing? Is this a small business? Is this a big business?
Yeah, so we just very proud of this. We recently exceeded our $10 billion.
$10 billion you've passed out?
Loan amount, yes, recently, and we've helped over 700,000 businesses across the U.S. So, very proud of that combination of PPP loans, grants that we've administered and
because there are a lot of still grants continuing. I don't know if that's dried up or the cities and stuff trying to still pass out grants, $5,000, usually small amounts, $5,000, $10,000, something, if you qualify, because they're trying to stimulate, they're trying to support, they're trying to attract small businesses into their neighborhoods or into their specific area, downtown that's depleted and
there's
blighted.
Very few, and as we turn around with a lot of the COVID relief funding being exited and no longer available, we're starting to see the shift where it's okay. Well, we no longer see that as much as we did during the pandemic.
Right.
It's very scarce now. So what can borrowers do? And it's get prepared to look at loan options. Right.
Well, and you're saying something that I hear what you're saying, and I'm probably as guilty as everybody. Happy days. Oh, I don't have to think about that anymore. That's never going to happen again. Well, I'll worry about it when it happens. Too late. Too difficult. Too much time to qualify and get all the paperwork and all the things that you need. So do you advise people to come to you even now when they don't need money and start the process and or at least understand the process?
Absolutely. Definitely understand the process, understand what's required to get a loan. Just in general, it's good to understand, and not just LENDISTRY, but across, what does the lender provide? What types of loans do they do? Do they do a startup loan? Do they do an acquisition loan? Do they do
construction things you were talking about? All these things I never knew existed.
Yes,
but there's lots of products we don't even know.
There's a lot of different programs and products that we have, but also it's important for the listeners to shop around to understand what each lender does. But
so will you talk to me if we call you up at this Tustin office or one of your offices?
Absolutely.
I say, I don't know if I need it right now, but I could see maybe down the road I might need this. I'm applying for some bigger job. If I get it, I'm going to need some money. I might open a second location. I might expand, or I don't have enough capital on hand. Should we have another downturn? Whatever you're looking ahead and seeing, I might need some money. Can they talk to you about this, or do you have to say, no, when you need it, call us, but right now we're too busy?
Yeah, if you don't need the funds, but you see something coming up in the future, definitely talk to us. We are fintech, and we use technology to be able to process our loans
We're talking to you through the internet,
we're
maybe.
Pretty quick.
Online.
You're talking to us online through an application, but we have business development representatives that are available via phone or email.
Okay.
So as soon as you submitted an application through our online portal, you're getting an email right away from one of our representatives asking you.
Not a robot, some real person.
It's a real person that's reaching out. We're still missing this document, or here's the next steps. We're going to need the following. And
when do I get to tell my story? Who do I tell my story to? You or people like you, or their process?
Well, it's part of the process that we have. We do a questionnaire. We reach out to the client and ask a series of questions. We do a survey. We get to understand your business better. The application process begins with going to our online portal, filling out just a quick application. Usually takes about 15 minutes. You enter the business information. So you're already starting to give us that information.
And whether you need it or not, you're starting a relationship. You're starting a conversation. You're educating yourself to what's out there that might help your business survive, grow, thrive, something here. I don't think most of us have that conversation. We used to with community banks. Because you were depositing. You went in there every week. And you're like, hey, Paul, hey, Joe. And you got to know these people, and they got to know you. And then they suggest, hey, we got a new program. We got this coming. Oh, okay. There was a conversation. Now, particularly as we go more and more online banking, I don't know who. I don't talk to anybody.
Yeah, it's interesting how things are changing and evolving. And really, the pandemic really taught us that, how to leverage technology when everything else was closed.
Yeah.
Right. So,
and to do it in a way that still feels personal, that still feels like somebody's listening. It's a conversation, not just a communication.
Yeah, so you can certainly go to our online, to our website, LENDISTRY.com, and we have a chat available that you can just talk to our representatives there to ask questions about whether it's a specific program or loan that you're interested or a project.
Or here's my need. Can you help me? LENDISTRY, LENDISTRY, LENDISTRY.com. A place to start a conversation, to create a connection, to get some more information. And I'm going to give a shout out, a shameless plug, to the SBDC that I'm privileged to be part of as well here. I am one of their 100-plus consultants here in the Orange County Inland Empire area of the SBDC, Small Business Development Centers. And one of them is right here in this building, or they're housed in this building. I don't know if they're here virtually or physically anymore here. Craig and all those at the Financial Center that Reuben runs here on behalf of the SVDC, a specialized center within the SVDC that you must work with a lot. I'm assuming you know Craig and Reuben and all these people here. And their job is to, okay, I'm a small business. Here's what I'm going through. Here's what I'm worried about. Here's what I'm wondering about. And they'll, for free, walk you through this. Why? Because they're funded by the SBA and the state of California and all these things to try and support and grow small businesses. And if they can show any sort of success, hey, we got you a loan, you hired some more people, you grew your business, hooray. We go back to the people that fund us at the government level and say, see, we got one. We did some good. And they give us more funds to do it again. It's an amazing program, again, that I don't think enough people know about, take advantage enough here. So they can reach out to the SBDC and specifically the SBDC Finance Center, and walk through your finances. See what you got, see what you need, see how we can help you. And they then will, I guess, call up Uriel and say, we got one.
Absolutely. Shout out to Craig and Reuben. You might not know this, maybe you do, but I used to work at the Finance Center with Craig and Reuben.
I didn't see. I didn't know that also. Now you're on the other side of the...
I was on the other side of the... which is how I came across LENDISTRY. I was an advisor advising clients, a business consultant, on how to access this capital that was so hard to find.
So hard to find.
And so LENDISTRY was a partner back then. It still is now with the SBDC and the OCIE SBDC. Right.
Reuben also runs the Hispanic Chamber here locally. So that's where you run one of their other shows here. He's got two hats he wears here.
That's how I came across LENDISTRY, and they were a great partner then. And now working inside of with LENDISTRY, it's the opposite now. Now I'm working with Ruben, Craig, and other SBDCs across
You're on the
state.
provider side, not just
on the provider side, helping connect the borrowers with the right resources.
What an amazing network. What an amazing idea. And what a story that I think goes largely untold. Maybe because I don't think about it until I need it. And then when I need it, I don't know where to go to find it. And so I love the idea of starting soon. Go to the SBDC and start conversations if you want to start there, or go directly to providers like LENDISTRY and see what they have to offer and get educated and get connected and be prepared should that next big jog come your way, or next big opportunity, or next big downturn, unfortunately, and you need some help. All of these things, it's about planning for the future, and too often we're just planning for today. Are looking at yesterday. What did I do yesterday? That was pretty good. Hey, I can go out and buy something. Or, oh, no, yesterday was bad. I better not buy anything.
No. It's all about planning for the future. And definitely the SBDC is great at helping borrowers on all aspects of their businesses.
And to find these untapped, unknown sources of capital. You're talking about capital deployment? I was flabbergasted during PPP, not just during COVID, not just PPP, but other programs. States, cities, counties were administering, maybe still are administering, for certain groups, certain categories, certain areas. There is money that they would love to give you, but they don't know who you are, and you don't know who they are.
Yeah.
That's the disconnect.
Yeah, and I would be remiss if I don't mention how I work with the SBDCs. I work directly with SBDC consultants across the nation and provide the resources, open up our credit box so they understand what LENDISTRY does, and
they may not know. And how can their clients are saying, "Help me," and they're like, "I wish I could."
Yeah.
And now you got to educate them so they can educate their clients and connect them. There's a missing story here. There's a missing connection. Just as I think we've lost that community connection with banks, we've lost a connection to capital.
Connection to capital.
Right? That should be a new show here. Connection to capital here. It's not just about profit. It's about capital sometimes. How do you find it? How do you get it? What's available? How do I apply? And what if I don't fit the box? Is there a door number 2 if I can't go in door number 1 here? Absolutely. All of that. Yeah. I love this stuff. All right, so give us, I don't know if you want to give out your information or just, but where do they go to start this conversation? LENDISTRY.com.
LENDISTRY.com, and that's the best way to reach us. My name's Uriel Arguelles.
Let's spell that for everybody, because I had trouble pronouncing it, much less spelling it. So Uriel, Uriel, that's your first name.
Uriel. And last name Arguelles.
That's pretty straightforward. Why did I fumble over that?
It happens.
All right. Well, thank you, Uriel, for joining us, and best of luck, and keep spreading the word, as we will do through this show and others, trying to make people aware of the programs that are out there and the access to capital, particularly for small businesses that are struggling to make that capital connection. I like that. We got to come up with a new show. Maybe LENDISTRY will do a show.
Yeah,
Capital
definitely.
Connection here. There, we like that one.
Powered by LENDISTRY.
Powered by LENDISTRY. There you go.
And the OCIE SBDC.
I love it. See, we'll bring everybody into this thing here. All right. Thanks so much for joining us on this episode here.
Have a great day. Thank you.
As we conclude another episode of the Profit Talks podcast, we hope we've empowered your entrepreneurial spirit. Reach out to us to connect with our experts, and let's take your business to the next level. Keep those dreams alive, keep pushing forward, and stay tuned for more. And if you liked what you heard in today's podcast and you want your business to reach new heights, just contact us at profittalkspodcast.org or call us at 1-800-616-7232. That's 1-800-616-7232. So until next time, keep thriving.